Congratulations to both of you on the beautiful film. Andrew, I ran into you briefly at BFI Flair, so
Yeah.
where I saw it for the second time, which was such a fun screening with Lily Gladstone throwing out the Haribo at the.
So funny.
So funny. Oh my God.
I think
Oh.
every Q&A should have that, really. But
Snacks.
yes,
Yeah.
snacks, exactly. Yeah. So, Andrew, given that the original film held such a special place in your heart, you must have had reservations about a remake. So, what convinced you to revisit it and reimagine it for 2025?
Yeah, I think like any great piece of art, uh, it inspires art, and I remember watching The Wedding Banquet, you know, uh, again in preparation for my meetings with the producers, and it inspired so many thoughts because it just resonated with me, and it made me think about my boyfriend. It made me think about our conversations around um, getting married, our conversations around having kids. Um, and so it felt very organic. And I just was so excited to explore this, maybe because it was and is a topics that I'm exploring now. And so it just as much pressure and as much hesitation that I had, like there was just the inspiration of a great film kind of motivating me. And so it wasn't hard to say yes. And of course there was a long process of developing, but I think what felt good about that process was the further we developed it, the more excited I got. And I think there are some projects where the more you develop you start to lose interest. And for me, it became um, this incredible snowball, and then to finally get it into production and work with these amazing actors. Like I just was like, even if I wanted to stop it, I couldn't.
And Kelly, what was your approach to playing Angela? In what ways could you connect with her as a character?
I I connected with her in many ways. I think as an actor, I think most actors do this, sort of using your own personal life to sort of fill in the details of a person and finding the commonalities between you and the character that you are creating. Um, I felt so inspired by this community around Angela. And what I loved about playing her is that I get to have all of these scenes with every single one of these incredible actors and their characters in the film. She has such a specific relationship with her mother and how complicated that is. And I definitely used my own personal experience in that. And then she has very specific and yet very different relationships with Min and with Chris and with Lee. And I think that Andrew and James did such a beautiful job of writing these specific relationships and creating so many layers. And just to be able to be in an ensemble with so many other incredible actors, I really just had to sit there and listen, honestly, and respond to everything that I was given. So it was easy because of all of the amazing people that Andrew put together. All you have to do is just like sit there and listen, respond. What a gift.
Yeah, and you really feel the history of the relationships, I feel. Just briefly, could you tell me a little bit about creating the on-screen relationships, perhaps with Lily as Lee, and also with Bowen Yang as Chris, who's like your best friend. You go way back.
Yeah. I mean, with both of them, we didn't have much time before we started filming to sort of create relationships and history, but Andrew had all of us do this thought exercise where we were asked to create a secret that we kept from Andrew, and then a secret that we each kept from each other. And it was a really quick way to sort of build rapport and build history. And then on top of that, just Bowen and Lily and also I would say Joan and Geechon and YJ, every single person who Andrew assembled, everyone was so open and vulnerable and generous with their artistry and also just them as human beings. So it was so easy to just fall into these really lived in relationships. And I think that says a lot about Andrew's ability to cast and his ability to create an environment where you just feel free to try things, which is hard when you're around essentially a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very welcoming environment.
Yeah, and Andrew, what excited you about assembling this cast, and how did you go about sort of adding some personalized touches and matching the characters to the actors who were playing them once you had cast?
Yeah, it really was kind of this, Asian American Avengers cast, rom-com Avengers, because everybody is such an individual, but we knew we had to create this cohesive family, and I think it was just kind of trusting my gut, and really um, getting a sense of these actors' processes, and I remember talking to Yunya Jung, and uh, you know, the script initially was written, the character was written as Min's mom, not Min's grandmother. And she was very humble, and she said, that she felt like she was a little old to play this character's mom, but what if we made her grandma? And we started talking about how that might change their dynamic, their relationship. And I could see in her eyes this kind of actor's inspiration. um, and as a director, when you see that, you stoke it, because that's really exciting. And so that was something that, I wanted to really encourage with every actor. Um, like with Bowen, there was a scene that Chris has with his cousin Kendall where they're playing video games, and that was initially written as like they were working at a food co-op. And I was like, no, Bowen's a gamer, and like it's such a non-moment, but it always gets a laugh out of me when Chris is playing video games and he just goes headshot. Like it's just so great. And like with Kelly, I mean, Kelly is such an incredibly like rigorous actor, and we were talking about the reconciliation scene that she has with Lee. Um, and she asked this incredible question that I did not have an answer to. And it really inspired the scene that you see in the film. And it's one of my favorite scenes in the film. And had it not been for this actor-director collaborative relationship, we may have never gotten there. And so there was just, so many examples of this throughout the entire film that I really embraced. I wanted this film more than any other film I've made to be so intensely collaborative. Um, and it was so much fun because in a lot of ways it takes the pressure off of me. It's not all about me. It's not all about my authorship. I think it's going to be a process that I really practice kind of throughout the rest of my career.
It sounds like a really special set to be on. Kelly, I hope you don't mind me asking, but I wondered to what extent being part of the wedding banquet encouraged you to be public about your own queer identity.
Yeah, I definitely was not planning to come out at all. And then what happened was we were filming the Korean wedding scene, and this Vanity Fair reporter David Canfield came to set and was asking us about our experience. His first question to me was, "What are you most excited about?" And I said, "I'm excited to tell a queer story as a queer person." And then I was like, "Oh, I haven't thought about what it means to come out publicly at all." And he was so kind, and also Joe Piro, one of our producers, they both came to me separately and said, "Hey, if you don't want this to be out in the world, it doesn't have to be out in the world, and you have some time to think about it," which I want to give them all of the praise because I know that's not a normal experience. And it just goes to show the environment that we were working in, which was one that was so supportive and understanding of that experience. And by the end of shooting, I knew that I just had such a beautiful time embracing this part of my identity and sharing that with so many other people, cast and crew, who also shared that identity. And I thought to myself, why would I hide this? It felt like a happy accident, and I'm so thrilled to be able to publicly say that I'm part of the queer community.
Woo. Family to be part of, yeah.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, though, there's a really funny scene in the de-queering of Lee and Angela's home, and I wondered, Andrew, how much fun you had in, choosing those details, the books and the artwork and the DVD covers that people spot. Elliot Page's Page Boy is in there, for instance.
Yeah, we had so much fun, you know. It was very collaborative. Our production designer and our prop master are both queer women, and they were like, "It's our time to shine," and just thinking about all the art and all the cultural elements, the books, obviously, the DVDs were really fun to think about. But yeah, it's such a great sequence in the original film, and we wanted to pay homage to that, and it was just this like recognition that queer homes are so gay. That line that Kelly says, "Everything in this house is gay," was not scripted. Like that was something we found on set, and it's such a great button to the sequence. Yeah, like it was kind of our opportunity to be as Easter eggy as we wanted, and there is this question of, well, if Lily Gladstone's in this movie, who's in certain women, but, but yeah, and then like Portrait of a Lady on Fire is like one of my favorite films of all time, and had to put that in there. So Young Kim is such an inspiration for me, and her film Love Song, I wanted to include it. So yeah, just a lot of fun, random connections.
And finally, what does it mean to each of you to be putting out a film that celebrates queer joy, so heartwarming, so poignant, at this particular time, in April 2025, it's going to be in theaters this week.
Um, you know, I I I'm very excited that this film can offer people like a moment to like take a breath and feel safe amongst friends and family. You know, that's what art and film is so good at doing. It allows us to kind of like put down our walls, because the screen's not going to like come out and attack you. And it's through that experience of vulnerability that I think we can heal, that we can become inspired, so that when we go back out into the world, which is often a very scary place, we just have more armor, we have more strength to be who we want to be.
Yeah. And Kelly, how about for you?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was, I know.
Riveted. I was
We
like,
went on
I'm
a
in it. I'm on this journey. Yeah, I agree with everything Andrew said. I think it's unfortunately a complicated time for the queer community, and it just makes it the experience of doing press together and sort of promoting this film and what it's about. It feels so poignant and also complicated to be both celebrating the beauty of this community and having to recognize that this community is also being persecuted. And what an experience that is. Like, I think there's so, um, as a member of the queer community, but also a member of like other underrepresented communities, I've had this experience before where you are in a position where you're getting to celebrate the beauty of something that is being threatened. And I don't even know how to put into words what that feeling is. I can just say that it makes me recognize just how important and how much gratitude I have for the existence of this film, and that Andrew put so much of his heart and soul in it, and also was brave enough to do the self work to recognize this part of your identity and be proud of it, and also share so much of it with the world. Like that, without that, we wouldn't be here. So I hope that people watch this film and also are inspired to share parts of themselves. And so that we get more and more of it, more things to celebrate in the midst of this trying time. Yeah,
Kelly, Andrew, thanks so much.
Yeah,
thank
thank you.
you.
Oh, thanks so much, both. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to go and see it again in theaters for a third time. So
Great kind of you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.